What's a very common thing that you just can't relate to? Restaurants that force their staff to act, sing, or engage in fake banter. Just make my food please and leave the theater to the thespians. There's this restaurant where I live called Casa Bonita where the staff will put on plays in the middle of the restaurant. It's actually really cool though. There are waterfalls, cliffs, secret passages, and a fight between a pirate and a gorilla to save a damsel in distress. Also, after your meal there are fake caves that you can explore in and treasure to try to find. As a kid it was a ton of fun to visit because of how engaging and entertaining it all was. Lost a friend there once, Rip Kenny. The obsession with branded things. Clothes with the brand's name on them just look tacky for me. I'd much rather have a regular old graphic tee instead of a t-shirt with Gucci on the front in gigantic bold capital letters. It's pretty whatever most of the time, wear what you want and all that, but the obsession becomes incredibly annoying when people act like they're better than you because they spend several $100s on a single shirt. Those haute couture fashion houses have remarkable branding media teams behind them. They cultivate a sense of exclusivity, and train the public to desire that. Often, though, the heavily branded items are actually not a fashion house's best-made product. Materials and construction aren't superiorly better than any average store. They're mass-produced and made specifically for a certain audience, the ones who want to be seen wearing the logo, for the feeling of luxury and exclusivity, while also promoting further free marketing for the brand. It's most often their more simple-looking garments, or basically the garments not ostentatiously covered in the brand's logo, that are incredibly well made, and are the real expensive pieces. That's what I've learned from watching documentaries on the back end of the fashion industry. I went to a Big Ten college. I swear everyone was having the time of their life but me. I couldn't wait to graduate. Me too. I couldn't afford a football ticket and didn't major in anything I couldn't have at a school closer to home. Oh well. Exactly. I was so indoctrinated on the big college experience, it was a letdown. And an expensive one at that. It felt like 4 constant years of showing up to a party too late. I feel this so hard. I went to a big college because my best friend was going. Turns out I'm way more introverted than I thought I was in high school. We basically went from friends to acquaintances in like 3 months and I was stuck at a school I hated. Being quiet late at night when your parents are asleep. My parents are deaf. Damn. What a life. Not being afraid of being heard. Well, not by your parents at least, it's about siblings. So many possibilities. I'm stressing just at the prospect of being a child and knowing if something happens to me in the house I can't just scream for help. As I've gotten older, one of the weird things was flipping perspectives from child to adult. I was just stressing at the prospect of something happening to my child and not knowing to be able to help. Sometimes it's worse when they don't say anything at all, just stand there and give you the death stare. That reminds me of when I was a groomsman for a bro, and his wife's maid of honor was deaf. He mentioned her in passing a few months prior, but forgot to remind me the day of the wedding. So, her and I were both unloading tablecloths next to each other and I glanced over to make small talk. I remember just looking at her like, I know she heard me. Then a couple seconds passed and she looked over to see me staring at her with a confused smile on my face. I think there were about 3 seconds of dead air, then she just smiled, let out a faint chuckle, and went back to work. I didn't know whether to be offended or what. Then it hit me. Thankfully, nobody noticed my complete embarrassment. After that, I just waited for her to look at me before talking so she could read my lips. She was very sweet and lovely to talk to. I have a friend that I didn't know was deaf until I'd known her for like 3 months. A decent-sized group of us were out at dinner and she seemed bored and disinterested in conversation the whole evening. I made a remark about it to someone and they were like, "Oh, she's deaf. She has a hard time in larger group situations keeping up with the conversations because it's harder to read lips." I thought my buddy was trying to pull my leg. He swore he was not. I was like, how are you just telling Met his now? Seems like it would have been pertinent info. My friend's mom was deaf, I spent ages thinking she was Hungarian. In my defense, she did answer the phone a lot. If you can't hear, why do you do that? I really feel you're missing out some info here to explain why you thought she was Hungarian though. Smoking. Nearly everyone in my family and all my friends smoke. I remember growing up saying that I'd never try it and being told, yeah, that's what everyone says. Well, it's true for me and I've never even been tempted. If you don't grow up / hang out around smokers, it's honestly kind of hard to just pick it up unless you actually want to. Especially nowadays, since smoking cigarettes isn't as common. Nobody smoked in my family, so I never viewed it as a normal thing to do. I always viewed smoking as a bad and kind of pointless habit, because that's what I was taught, I guess. It's kind of sad that the people who told you that had that attitude, as if becoming a smoker is unavoidable.